Hi, welcome back to another episode of ColdstreamRodshop. I'm Derek Fraser. We're going to carry on with our short episodes for the summer and basically the 40 Plymouth theme. Right now I'm sitting on the trailer that the 40 Plymouth came on. There used to be fenders, inner fenders, rear fenders, and all kinds of sheet metal parts sitting on the trailer. One of the things we agreed to do for the 40 Plymouth was refit those back on the body. There's a lot of broken bolts and some damage and stuff. We're not going to actually do the body work on it like I mentioned before. We just wanted to fit the front clip on it to make sure that, everything was good when we did the chassis. We measured it 100 times. I'm quite confident that it is, but that's what we're doing next. So come on inside, join us while we put all the sheet metal back on the 40 Plymouth. as you can see from the time lapse, I was struggling getting the fenders on. A lot of old nuts and bolts stripped, some just rusted, had to have all the threads chased. At minimum, I was chasing threads and nuts. I am repairing some holes. If we look over here, some of the D-nuts have been knocked out, so I'm going to have to weld in new D-nuts here. The point what we're doing right now for the owner of this 40 Plymouth is we're getting basically the front fenders and all the inner fenders and stuff bolted on, making sure everything fits up to the new front clip. Everything's straight. He used to be a body man at one point in time, did his own body work and paint, so that's kind of why we're not taking it any further. So right now at this stage, I have the inner fender right there all bolted in place, and then there's a panel. I'm not sure what you would call it, but I mean it's kind of like a transition panel that goes from the fender here up to the hood. That's all in place. So on the driver's side, everything is on, basically bolted in place. Might be one or two little more things to do, but I'm kind of satisfied with it. I may hook the welder up here and help him out and fix that up. So right now I'm going to there's the inner fender well for the passenger side and that same sail panel. Gonna get those in place. Don't know if I'll set the time lapse up for that or not. Takes quite a while, but it's basically installing it back to the original holes and just reaching up inside in awkward positions, tightening nuts and bolts. So we're making progress on this. Hopefully we're going to have all this in place before the next cutoff for next week's video. I think I'm even going to try and put the hood onto it so it's kind of watertight. And then I was kind of looking at the back fenders. Wasn't asked to put those on, but we'll see what time allows for that. But anyway, we're making really good progress here on the 40 Plymouth and getting her ready to go back to the owner. Here we are. Front fenders are on, the lower hood panels, the front clips all bolted in place. And I even put the hood on. Now the hood only had 4 bolts onto it. Sounded simple, but it wasn't. I had to fix a couple bolts, and then there was a reinforcing rib that went across the inside of the hood that was bent. Take that out and fix it. But the goal is basically to try and fit everything on and get a really kind of decent fit. There's going to be some final body work done, so there's going to have to be a little bit of final tweaking, but we basically want everything to go on so that there's no issues taking it on and off, and all the holes are fixed and you can put the nuts and bolts in and out. I put the hood on for now. I still have to put the radiator in, so I'm going to take the next week when I get the radiator. The radiator is another story, unfortunately. We got it record, thought we could use the top tank. But the top tank actually leaked under pressure test, so they're making a new top tank for it. So that's why we're actually not putting it in here just yet. So there was kind of 2 final things left to do for the 40 Plymouth, was the radiator and then the front floor pan, which is, I had to talk to the owner about that. That's a little crispier than what we thought. So anyways, the hood is on, the whole front clip is on. I'm kind of happy with that. The latches even work. You can open and shut them and lift the hood up. So really happy with that. So that's cool. The rear fenders and the rear tires turned out to be quite a bit more work. One thing that I didn't realize when we were building this, and it's actually quite common with some of the cars in the 40s and the 50s, is that they had smaller tires in those days. So they had like 14-inch rims and skinny tires. Everything tucked up underneath the fenders. You had big leaf springs onto it so that when you jacked the car up, the rear axle would drop. When we changed over to a coilovers and 4 bars, when you lift the car up, the rear end doesn't drop as much. So one of the issues is, and it's like a lot of other cars, is that the wheel is actually not centered in the wheel well. Some of the 50s Chevs and the 50s Fords, it's the same issue. The wheel well is kind of moved forward, tire tucks up inside. So we had a bit of an issue getting the tires to fit inside. I had 235s on it, which is not what we're going to run on this car. The owner's going to run 205s or 215s. So right now we've got a set of 215 tires that basically just squeak inside right now the fender once you lift the side up. I've heard even stories where people with 56 and 57 Fords, they basically have to drop their rear end by undoing the lower shocks in order to stick the bigger tires up inside. So I guess if I were Chip Foose or somebody like that, I probably would either shift the wheelbase back in retrospect, or probably Chip would probably go ahead and redesign the whole front fender so everything kind of shifted and the wheel would sit centered into it. But that's a whole other pile of work to do. So right now we've got tires that go in and out, we've got the fenders on, and everything is kind of all good here right now. So kind of really winding down with the 40 Plymouth. Like I said, there's only 2 more things left to do to it before we roll it out and put it on the trailer. Just put the radiator in, and then like I said, that front floor pan is a lot crispier than I thought. So not sure if the owner is going to tackle that himself or if he's going to get me to do it, because it's going to take a little more work than what we originally thought. So there may be another update on the 40 Plymouth coming up, depending on what else we do. I mean, we will show you putting it on the trailer and sending it out. This may be the last major update for the 40 Plymouth. Another thing, if anybody wants to support the channel, we have these ColdstreamRodshop t-shirts for $25 plus postage. We've got the image on the front, and then there's a rear version too. So if anybody's interested in supporting the channel and buying a t-shirt, please reach out to us. It's $25 plus whatever it costs to send it by post to you. So that's it for this week. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. Send me your comments, and I'll see you next week, and have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.